A trade, which should be taken seriously, and we are getting to that point, free agency period. The Warriors, according to John Hollinger of The Athletic, are expected to use James Wiseman. That's the guy they picked last year, the big, who's incredibly raw but talented, and the Warriors' number 7 pick this year in a trade for a star player. They're going to move off Wiseman. They're going to use one of their 2 early draft picks. They're 7 and they're 14. They're 7 and get a star. He suggests Pascal Siakam of Toronto. This trade should be taken seriously because it's about the timeline. Steph, you got to get him guys that can help him now. Wiseman is a kid. Steph needs a guy that can drop 19-9 tomorrow night. That's what Clay can do. Draymond, they're all on the same timeline. Wiseman's not on the timeline. He's perfect for Toronto because their timeline is let's rebuild. Siakam value is down a little bit because this year he was underwhelming. So he's out there. And timeline matters. Remember this, LeBron, remember when he went to Cleveland, he could have had the number 1 pick, Andrew Wiggins? He chose Kevin Love, who people thought had a lower ceiling. Why? Because Kevin and LeBron's timeline matched up. Kevin could get him 24 and 10 that night. Wiggins was a kid. So that matters. Here's something else. Timelines matter. By the way, if they did that deal, the Golden State starting 5 would be Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Pascal Siakam. That's a top 3 starting 5 in the NBA. Now, it'd be expensive, and I do think they'd eventually move Wiggins. If they had to move anybody, he's really expensive and mostly just a scorer. Doesn't really feel like the part of the culture. You know, he just gives you points. But this is a team that has been willing through the years to go over the salary cap and pay that fee. So there's something there if they made that move. But that's what it would look like. And that's why we say for Dame and Portland, you better get moving because that's what the Warriors could look like next year. Kawhi's back with the Clippers. They'll be good. LeBron and AD, long off season, they'll be good. That's what Golden State's going to look like. Dallas is going to try to get a 2 to go with Luka, with Porzingis and Hardaway. So if you're Dame and you're looking at that, you're not close. You weren't close to beating Denver. So that's why for Damian Lillard, Golden State is a move away with a 7 and a 14 and James Wiseman. Anybody rebuilding, they can go get a B-plus player. And Siakam's about a B-plus player. Here's the other thing I saw. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I'm seen as anti-Cleveland Browns. But the NFL Network had something where they listed the most complete NFL teams heading into the 2021 season. And they put Cleveland 1, Tampa 2, Kansas City 3, Chargers 4, and Buffalo 5. First of all, Cleveland does not do well with expectations. That's not good. The other thing, you got to be careful with Cleveland. Cleveland's got a lot of big names. You know, a lot of big names. OBJ, Baker, Kareem Hunt, Jadeveon Clowney. Yeah, OBJ's never healthy. The Browns were better when Baker threw less last year. Kareem Hunt's a backup, and Clowney's inconsistent and hurt a lot. So you got to be careful here. When I look at Buffalo, Tampa, Kansas City, I have proven performers in big games and quarterbacks I've seen at the highest level take over games. That's not what Cleveland is. You know what Cleveland's a little bit like? And most of the country will not understand this reference. If you're in Los Angeles, you totally will. We have a music festival in the desert called Coachella. Coachella sounds great. A lot of big names. You take your cool, attractive friends. You take them out to the desert. Going to party in the desert. Ow! The girls are beautiful with their cowboy hats, and the guys are cool, and everybody goes out there, and then like 3 days in, it's like, wow, it's 108. There's 150,000 people. You can't get close. The bathroom situation is regrettable. I'm sorry, but I don't want to live in a tent, and the cool people aren't nearly as cool as you thought when there's 6 rum drinks in on the 3rd day. And then you're like, okay, I've done this like 3 years. I'm done with Coachella. Cleveland Browns have a little bit of a feel. Like there's a lot of cool stuff there, a lot of cool people. But if Myles Garrett got hurt, who on that defense do you rely on? Sheldon Richardson? They moved him. Denzel Ward? Love him. Always hurt. Jadeveon Clowney? The poster's better than the reality, right? He's one of those classic, the movie poster's better than the movie. He's a great player in spots. So John Johnson, if Myles Garrett had an injury and had to miss a month, who do you rely on defensively? I like their new secondary, but it's a bunch of kids and a bunch of new people. So I don't know what they are. You got to be careful about Cleveland. When you're listing the teams that are ready to win, Kansas City's ready to win a Super Bowl. San Francisco, if Garoppolo's upright, is ready to win a Super Bowl. Tampa just won a Super Bowl. Kansas City, Buffalo, now that they went and attacked their defensive line, they're ready to win a Super Bowl. Cleveland, I think Baltimore, adding receivers, is ready to win a Super Bowl. Cleveland, got a little Coachella. Sounds big. It sounds like the greatest time of your life. After a couple years and a few rum drinks and 5 days in a tent, you're like, it's time to go home now and take a shower. And I can't really hear because I'm like way, way, way back. And anybody seen a bathroom? Oh, by the way, we can't get cell service. That's another incident. That's another issue at Coachella. Summer's here. Get active, shed pounds. Go to mdriveformen.com today. Free shipping, mdriveformen.com. Walgreens, Rite Aid have it too. Hour 3 next.
Had been with the Bulls from 87, battled through the Pistons and every other team that we had to get to those 3 championships. Wouldn't you give Scottie Pippen one opportunity to get a last-second shot without Michael Jordan? Like 1 year without Michael Jordan. Can I get one shot? Like, I'm doing all the dirty work.
That's BS. They actually drew up 2 plays for Scottie Pippen, and he missed on both. Therefore, they finally went to this shot. Sorry, radio audience. Tony Kukoc, no, that wasn't the shot, but they'd gone throughout that game to Pippen twice. First of all, let's acknowledge this. Kyrie and Kevin Love did not get a lot of credit for the Cavs title. LeBron did. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played with Magic on the Showtime Lakers. They're known as Magic Showtime Lakers, and Kareem's the leading scorer in league history. So let's be honest. When you play with a Magic and a Michael and a LeBron, you get minimized. They're called Magic Showtime Lakers. Many people believe Kareem's the best player ever if you really go to stats and numbers and longevity and defense and offense and unstoppable. It's Magic Showtime Lakers. Kyrie hit the big shot for the Cavs. It's LeBron's title with the Cavs. That's the reality of it. So Scottie is never going to get the love that he probably deserves because Michael was the best player and the most glamorous and the coolest and had the biggest shoe deal. So that's just the reality of playing with the greatest Batman ever. You get minimized as a Robin. But I covered Scottie for a couple years in Portland. And here's the part that Scottie doesn't want to talk about. Scottie always wanted to be viewed as a 1, paid like a 1, get all the accessories of a 1, the respectable 1. But if he played poorly, he wouldn't be around for the tough questions. That's part of being a 1. Availability. Paul George, availability. You want to be a 1, you got to be ready to play, ready to talk about failure, ready, regardless of how you feel the flu game, you got to be there. Scottie, and I've seen this a lot in pro sports, a lot of people want to be seen as a 1, talked about as a 1, paid as a 1, but they don't want to do all the 1 stuff. And the longer Pippen took control of the Bulls after Michael left, the more he unraveled. And here's another thing that's not talked about when I covered Scottie. The idea that Phil Jackson did not draw a play up for him. That's very interesting. Scottie was never a closer. He was just an incredible player and an incredible athlete. But I covered the best non-final series, I believe, ever. Lakers-Blazers went 7. That's the iconic Kobe to Shaq slam dunk. I was in behind the basket. I covered that series. Unbelievable. There for every minute of every game. Best series, non-final series I've ever seen. So if Phil Jackson is racist, and that was the insinuation, for not drawing up a play for Scottie Pippen, instead Kukoc, though Phil drew up a couple for Scottie, go to that game 7. Scottie was 3 for 10. I thought he's a 1. Do you know what he was in the fourth quarter of that game as a Blazer for the Blazers against the Lakers? He was 0 for 3 and a minus 17 in the fourth quarter. Mike Dunleavy didn't draw up plays for Scottie Pippen. because that wasn't what Scottie was. Scottie was a slasher, a hustler, a defender, a great athlete. He's not